Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Ready to explore something kind of unsettling today.
Let's do it.
Today, we're going deep into malware.
Malware.
I mean, it's everywhere, right?
Hmm.
And most of us only hear about it when there's a massive attack.
Hmm.
But what is it really? Like, how do we actually wrap our heads around what's lurking in the depths of the internet?
Well, people say knowledge is power. That's definitely true when it comes to malware. The more you understand about these digital threats, the better you can protect yourself.
It's true. It's like the more you know about how a lock works, the harder it is for someone to pick your pocket, right?
Exactly. So let's break down some of these common malware terms. Like, everyone's heard of a virus, but what does that even mean in the digital world?
Yeah, does that term, like, even apply anymore? Or is that so last century?
Well, think about how a biological virus works. It needs a host, right, to replicate and spread. Digital viruses are kind of similar. They latch onto a file or program and then bam, they replicate like crazy.
So that infected file is like patient zero.
Exactly. But while they were all the rage back in the day, they're not the biggest threat anymore.
Oh. So what's replaced the virus as public enemy number one?
Well, there are much sneakier players on the field now, like worms, for instance. They don't need any help spreading. They self-replicate, jumping from system to system, exploiting any vulnerability they can find.
Okay, so no patient zero. These things are
Mm.
just roaming free.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's say a worm burrows into your system through like a dodgy email attachment.
Oh man, I'm terrible with email attachments.
Well, in this case, it could quickly spread through your entire network. It could be in your computer, then your coworker's computer, and then boom, it's brought down the entire company server.
That's terrifying, and it feels like it could happen so fast.
It absolutely can. And what's worse is that it doesn't even need to destroy anything to cause chaos. It just needs to replicate and clog things up.
Talk about a digital headache. Okay, so we've got viruses and worms. What else? What about Trojan horses? They've always sounded kind of cool, but I know better.
Yeah, Trojan horses are the ultimate deception. It's all about disguise. Like, picture this. You're browsing online and stumble across a link to download some software. It could be anything, a game, a music app.
Oh, I know. Something that seems like a great deal, too good to be true.
Exactly. So you click download, thinking you've scored, but hidden within that seemingly harmless file is a Trojan, just lying in wait.
And bam, they've got you.
Uh,
I feel like this is where social engineering comes in, right?
Totally. Attackers exploit our trust, curiosity, even that I'm getting a steal mentality.
It can be so hard to resist,
Yeah.
especially when it seems legit.
That's why it's so effective. But let's talk about a type of malware that's just plain scary. Ransomware.
Ugh, ransomware gives me chills just thinking about it. It's like the digital equivalent of someone holding your photos or files hostage.
And demanding a hefty ransom to get them back.
It's terrifying, and it feels like it's become so much more common.
It has, and it's not just individuals being targeted. Businesses, hospitals, even government institutions are vulnerable. Remember the WannaCry attack?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was huge.
That was back in 2017, and it caused chaos on a global scale. Hospitals couldn't access patient files, businesses were crippled. It was a stark reminder of how vulnerable we are in this digital age.
Yeah, definitely wake-up call for a lot of people.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered the scary stuff. Viruses, worms, Trojan horses, and ransomware. What about the sneakier forms of malware?
Well, we've got things like scareware, which preys on people's fears. Ever seen those pop-ups that scream, "Your computer is infected. Act now, now."
Oh yeah, those things are annoying.
That's often scareware designed to make you panic and pay for bogus antivirus software.
Which could be malware itself.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
That's just cruel.
Right. And then on the more subtle end of the spectrum, we have spyware, which is all about gathering information about you without you even knowing.
Okay, hold on. Doesn't that blur the lines a bit? I mean, so many companies collect our data these days. How is that different?
It's about transparency and control. Legit companies are upfront about what they collect and why, and they give you the option to opt out. Spyware operates in stealth mode. It's like someone eavesdropping on your every move without your knowledge or consent.
So it's all about being sneaky and underhanded.
Precisely.
Gotcha. Speaking of underhanded, let's talk about the malware that's motivated by money. What's the deal with cryptocurrency miners?
They've really exploded in recent years with the rise of cryptocurrency. Basically, they hijack your computer's processing power to mine cryptocurrency, which can make them a lot of money.
So you could be just going about your day, completely unaware that your computers are being used to mine digital gold for someone else.
Yep. And your computer might slow down, your electricity bill might go up, and you'd have no idea why.
That's wild. It's like having someone secretly using your car to run a taxi service. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about adware.
The internet's equivalent of those billboards that seem to follow you everywhere you go.
They're the worst, just relentless.
Some adware isn't necessarily malicious. There's legitimate ad-supported software, those free apps that rely on ads for revenue.
Right, but then there's the bad kind.
Absolutely. And that's the kind that floods you with intrusive pop-ups, redirects you to suspicious websites, and can even install other malware on your system.
It's like a gateway drug to even worse infections.
Exactly. And unfortunately, this is an area where things are constantly evolving. We're seeing blended attacks now that combine elements of different malware.
Blended attacks. Like a malware cocktail.
Kind of. You might get a phishing email with a link, and clicking it downloads a Trojan, which then, boom, infects your system with ransomware.
Talk about a nasty surprise. And what about those zero-day exploits? Those sound scary.
Yeah, those are particularly nasty. They target vulnerabilities in software that nobody even knows about yet, so there's no patch, no fix. It's like having a key to a secret back door.
And the worst part is, you wouldn't even know until it was too late. So after all this talk about the dark side of the internet, what are our defenses?
Yeah.
What can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, awareness is key. The more you know about these threats, the better equipped you are to avoid them.
Right, so no clicking on suspicious links, being careful about what you download.
Exactly. And having strong, unique passwords for your accounts and keeping your software updated, those updates often contain security patches that can protect you from known vulnerabilities.
So stay informed, be cautious, and keep those digital shields up.
That's the idea. It's like in the physical world, we lock our doors and look both ways before crossing the street. The digital world needs that same kind of awareness and caution.
That's a great analogy. So as we rely more and more on technology, it's more crucial than ever to be aware of these threats. A huge thank you to our expert for taking us on this deep dive into the world of malware. It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
Anytime. Knowledge is power, remember. And it's how we stay ahead of the game in this ever-evolving digital world.
Oh, couldn't have said it better myself. To our listeners, we hope you learned a lot today. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.